This video will explain how teaching a standard superior language may lead to hidden discrimination. The National Council of Teachers of English believes that all students need to learn Standard American English, or SAE, for wider communication, citizenship, employment, and higher education, while also respecting diversity in spoken and written English. Unfortunately, respecting diversity in spoken and written English is often disregarded. Teachers need to understand that a standard language is not intrinsically better in order to avoid discriminating based on language and to validate all of their students' identities. People often argue that a language is intrinsically superior because it is just better and it's always been like that, but both of these statements are untrue. First, when people argue that a language is better, they do not provide any solid linguistic argument to support this, such as evidence that one language might enhance thinking or make communication easier. Second, no language has always been like that. Doing something just because it's always been like that doesn't mean it's the best way to do things. Languages change over time and they are socially constructed. A standard language is often determined by those with social and economic power who make their language the standard. Then they teach the proper way of speaking and writing through education and the media. Over time, a standardized language becomes seen as desirable through association with power and not the language itself. Understanding that people have motives for arguing that one language or dialect is linguistically superior makes this argument even weaker. Many accept that life is a level playing field, but a standard language favors those who grew up speaking it and whose parents speak it. The argument has been made that language discrimination is an accepted form of discrimination, even though it is often related to people's social identities. Non-standard varieties persist because they are one of the main ways to establish solidarity and loyalty. Thus, identifying these varieties as uneducated or inferior marginalizes non-standard language speakers even more. Hidden language discrimination works for a number of reasons. First, many believe that the standard language is better and that those who do not know it cannot think and reason as well. Second, many people believe that non-standard languages, such as African American Vernacular English, are limited. This rhetoric hides subjective, culturally influenced notions of correctness. Lastly, because language discrimination is invisible, it is very difficult to challenge and change. Teachers should be aware that the standard language is not intrinsically better, and that language is very important to people's identities. Teachers should acknowledge internalized notions about language that may lead to discrimination and work to validate students' identities by respecting their home languages. If possible, teachers may want to consider talking to their schools in order to make the language curriculum more inclusive. A program that has been created and tested called Skills teaches about the construction of language and non-standard varieties. It also teaches SAE as a second language instead of a superior version of the non-standard languages. By being aware of the construction of language and the value of all languages, teachers can help validate all students' identities and help all children succeed.